Welcome to Homeschool University, where life meets learning. I'm Diana Applegate, and today I have got a great topic for you, teaching homeschool science in the mad scientist years. Yes, I call it the mad scientist years, but it's really grades 6 through 8, right? Now, why am I going to refer to it that way? Well, think about this here. First, kids at this age have just that little bit of a daredevil at heart in them. They think that they have it all figured out and they're going to go ahead, but they don't really have enough experience to have that healthy dose of fear that they need. Another thing that's going on at this age, they're kind of in the know-it-all stage, right? It's like, yeah, I got that. I know how to do that. You don't have to explain it to me, all that sort of thing, right? You throw into that the fact that this age, it kind of feels like your child is racing ahead of you. I mean, their behavior changes every few days. And just when you think you've caught up to them and you understand what's going on, they change and you have no idea. So teaching science to this group sounds like it could be a little intimidating, right? But it doesn't have to be, because you got to have the proper frame of mind here. I mean, science is not about what you, a homeschool mom, know. No, it's about helping your child discover what there is to know in this world, right? So hey, consider this video your roadmap to this critical age for science instruction. And by the way, stay tuned until the very end of this video, because I have a super amazing special offer for you that you do not want to miss out on. So let's get started. So let's start out at the beginning, talking about 6th grade, right? Pretty much 6th grade is not going to be a huge departure from what you were doing pretty much in like a kindergarten through 5th grade, your basic elementary science. Not going to be a lot of departure there. By the way, though, if you have not watched my video, on teaching elementary science, you really need to watch that. And I will put a link up on the screen, over on this side, here we go, up on the screen to take you to that video. And I'm also going to put a link down in the comments below so that you can easily find it. But definitely critical that you see that video so that you understand what you're doing in 6th grade. Now, I know I said this is a continuation with a couple of provisions added into it, a couple of additions, right? The first off is you're going to ask your child to maintain science journals, notebooks, maybe a nature notebook if they're doing a lot of natural science. But basically all their work, all their documentation is going to want to come in the form of written documentation. Whereas in the earlier years, you were letting them pretty much observe things, talk it through. Now you're going to take them to the next level where they are actually employing a modified scientific method. If they were looking for something, what was it they were looking for? Did they find it? Maybe if they did a simple experiment, was the outcome what they thought it would be? And what was the outcome? Pretty straightforward there. You're also going to expect them to add in either drawings or photographs. The best kind of photographs would be taken by the child in the field of, or wherever they are, whatever they're observing. If you can't capture that sort of thing either in drawing or in an actual photograph, you can also, your student can use some online resources to come up with a picture of something. But the idea is that you're adding that visual aspect along with the text. And you're going to have captioning so that anyone could look through that notebook and see a great view of this is what this child has been doing in science, and I can really expect it. I can really, understand it. Which brings me to my next thought, which was, with that expect word in it, you are really going to have an expectation of thorough documentation at this stage, because you are starting to prep them for what's coming in the high school years. So just take that natural science, Charlotte Mason-y kind of approach, which I explained in my prior video, and just turn it into something with a little more pizzazz to it. So this brings us to 7th grade. Oh yes, 7th grade is awesome for science. This is my favorite year. In fact, 7th grade was when I really got excited about science personally. So how are you going to do 7th grade? You're going to start with this cool little book. This is the Usborne Book of Science. It is an introduction to biology, physics, and chemistry. Now, this is definitely your typical Usborne book. I mean, it's got the fabulous illustrations and the great descriptions that are not too complex, but give you plenty of information, right? But there's something even better in these books. These books get into some very advanced topics, doing it in a simplistic way, but they still get there. And they give your students some vocabulary to work with, some actual chemistry and physics vocabulary that they may not have heard before. Very cool stuff. You want to start with this overview because what's coming next is going to make use of that. Your student's going to be choosing some experiments to do. And by experiments, I mean science fair projects. Yay! I love science fair projects. They are the bomb because they really connect everything together for your student, right? Now, if you didn't do any science fair projects when you were in school, just kind of a brief 3,000-foot view of it would be, number one, they're going to make an actual display board. You know, those 3-panel display boards that you may have seen. Going to make a display board. They're actually going to be setting up an experiment to answer a question. So the question might be, you know, how does mold grow on bread? Okay, and under what circumstances does it grow best? Okay, that's a question. Your student's going to find the answers to that. The thing about a science fair project is it's all about not just then doing that work, but then having a presentation of it. So your child can actually walk someone else through the work that they've done in a very logical, rational, chronological way, and show them their results in a way that someone could say, yeah, that actually makes sense, right? Now, if you are saying to me, I've never done a science fair project, I have no idea what I'm doing with them, aha, I have help for you. And that help is this little lady right here, Janice Van Cleve. This is her A+ Science Fair Project series. This one happens to be A+ Projects in Biology. But just catch the little subtitle here. Winning experiments for science fairs and extra credit. Yes, she has it all in here. Her series has not only biology, but it's also got physics. She's got a book on earth science, astronomy. She's also got a general book, just A+ Science Fair Projects, which includes some chemistry stuff in it. The cool thing about Janice Van Cleve is she starts out giving you just a little, you know, kind of explanation of how to do science fair projects at the beginning, and then she really dives into it. So I'm just going to give you a quick peek inside A+ projects here. She starts out each one of her books in this A+ series with an introduction that kind of gives you that overview, how you're going to do science experiments, right, for the science fair project. But then she gets into the lessons, and this is where she has some really amazing stuff that sets these books apart. She starts with the question that the student's going to be answering in this project, gives you the materials you're going to be using, gives you the procedure that you'd want to use in a standard science fair experiment series, and even then gets into, well, why did this happen, which helps your student flesh out their conclusion. But here's the good stuff. Then she gets into try new approaches, different ways that you would look at this particular topic, and even design your own experiment. And then she closes out with get the facts, which again exposes your student to more questions that could be answered and included in their project, because this is real life application stuff down here. So these are very, very complete science fair books. So when you get to the Janice Van Cleve books, just saying, you're probably going to want to get more than one of them. The reason I say that is because you're going to want your student to have a wide variety to choose from, right? And that book had 30 topics in it, but they're all biology. So you might want to, maybe your student decides in the end that astronomy is really their thing. You want to give them a lot of options. Now, you don't have to go out and buy all these books brand new. You can buy them used, but Both Alibris and Abe Books have these books out there. Right now, just yesterday, I found them all for $1 a piece. Yeah, you got to pay shipping, which is like, $3.95, $4.95. But that's pretty inexpensive. And if your student is not sure what they're interested in, that's the way to go. So just saying here now, I have a little caveat in this. If you have one of those kids who probably is super hands-on, probably would rather be outside than doing anything inside, right? Might be a boy, yeah. And that kid pretty much just rolls his eyes every time you mention doing a science project. I have an alternative for you. This little book right here, The Art of the Catapult. Tell you what, building a catapult, talk about physics study. This is physics on steroids. This is like when I got into college physics, this is one of the first things that they taught us was all about things like catapults. This book is awesome. It basically takes your kid through the history of the catapult, but then it teaches them how to build a whole bunch of different types of catapults, right? Ranging from some very simple, almost like a slingshotty kind of thing, to serious wood shop, hardware store, major projects, right? Really a lot of fun, and it can get your kinesthetic learner, that sort of indifferent science kid, can get them right on top of the science world. So that's 7th grade. Now, don't tune out yet, even if you just have a 7th grader, because I have coming up later in this video a very special science opportunity for your 7th grader. So hang on for that. So now we're up to 8th grade, that's right. And now is kind of where we're in the rubber meets the road stage. We're going to move into actual textbook science. This is the place where you're going to start actually with an overview of all the sciences, but in textbook format. Now, the reason why we moved to a textbook in 8th grade is frankly to prepare for what's coming in the high school years. In the high school years, if your student ends up going to college, they are going to need to have textbook courses in science that include a lab with them, that include experiments that are directly related to what they're learning about. So this is a great time to prep for that. And the book that I recommend to use for this is going to be Apologia, Exploring Creation with General Science. I really, really love the Apologia approach to science, how they teach it, and this book is great. Now, I will say this, Apologia at the junior high level has another book, which is Physical Science. I don't recommend that one as highly because I really think that your student needs a general overview at this point, and that's what this gives. That said, I was going to walk you through this textbook and kind of give you an overview of what Apologia uses for their pedagogy, but I'm just going to say this, that textbook that you just looked at, that's actually from my shelves. That's published in the year 2000, okay? And that was the first edition. Apologia is now on the 3rd edition, and the 3rd edition is really fabulous. They have made some wonderful improvements. Still got the things in it that I love about Apologia, with their very complete text, the way that the student is constantly engaged in the text with questions to answer, and also then the way they weave their experiments in. And by the way, Apologia experiments are awesome because they are very well explained, and they use household items, things that are easy to find. So I would say that Apologia has still got you covered, even back if you had only had this edition that you have now, but the new one is just so much better. I'm going to put a link in the comments down below to Apologia's website so you can go and look at that. They've got some great sample pages online, but just saying, if you decide you're going to use another text, that's fine. Just make sure that it has lab work built into it. And that's it for 8th grade. Ooh. So now we are up to that special science opportunity that I promised you earlier. That's right. This ties directly into my love for science and the fact that I was inspired in science when I was in 7th grade. That's right. In 7th grade, all the science classes in our school, in our middle school, dissected frogs that year. And we were supposed to, dissect them so we get down to just the skeleton and then label everything, right? Well, I got super into that, and I really tried to do my best to be really meticulous in my work. And I was rewarded for that by having my frog skeleton displayed in the very front hallway of the school in the main display case. That was an amazing moment for me. And I'll tell you what, it turned the corner for me in science because I realized, hey, I'm good at this. I can do science, right? And it was interesting. So I want to encourage your budding scientists. And that means what I'm looking for is for you to submit to me video of your 7th graders science fair project. That's right. By the way, I forgot to say this earlier, so I'm just going to add it in now. The anticipation is that your student will do 2 science projects in 7th grade because they can be super time consuming. You can do more than that, but I would say a minimum of 2. Just saying. So anyway, you get that video to me. I am going to publish it on this channel. That's right, on Homeschool University. I'm going to put it right out there with probably like a 30-second to 1-minute little blurb in front of it, right? But other than that, it's a video that your kid is going to have on YouTube. And that way, it's an easy way for you to share it with friends and family and to really celebrate what your child did. So I have just a few rules that go with this to make it easy for everybody. The first is, please, 10 minutes or less. Just saying, okay? The second is, this needs to be a full-on presentation, both oral, the child is talking us through it, and also visual. So they're going to have, the traditional display board, and any items for use in their presentation that they would want available. And really, I'm just looking for them to walk us through what exactly their project was about, and then all the steps of the project and what their conclusions were, right? The last thing that would go with this would be, please include your child's first name and then city and state where you're from. I do not want last names. I do not want ages because I want to keep our kids safe. But you know what? It's kind of cool when, number one, you want your child's name in it, your first name, right? But it's also kind of cool for families to be able to say, hey, that child is from someplace that I know, or maybe even my hometown. It's just a neat connection. So just let me bless your child and give them some science inspiration and send me those videos. And that's it for today. The thought I want to leave you with in this video would be this: teaching homeschool science is all about the journey. You know what? It's not about the slick packaging. It's not about mom knows everything. No, it's about inspiring your child to go out there and find out whatever there is to know. It's about knowing those things, right? And speaking of inspiration, don't forget, if you have a 7th grader, to send me a video of that science fair project, right? You can just submit it to me with through my email, which is, I'll put it down below, but it's myhomeschooluniversity@gmail.com. So thank you so much for watching this week. And if you enjoyed this video, give it a like, right? And how about subscribe? Because yes, we are on a mission around here to convince the YouTube algorithm that I am worth liking. That's right. Because if YouTube likes me, I am going to be able to communicate my message to a lot more people. Join me here next Wednesday again for my latest video, which will be Homeschool Planning Made Easy. That's right. Homeschool planning that you'll be able to use these tools no matter what method you use, no matter how many kids you have, no matter what your homeschool looks like. I'm going to give you some planning tools that will make your life a whole lot easier. So remember, here at Homeschool University, we have 3 key strategies. The first is to be practical. That's right. That would be called using common sense. That's a good thing. The next would be to be purposeful. Pray with and for your children and for your homeschool. And the last one is be positive, because you, homeschool mom, that's right, you can do anything, including teach science, because you are amazing.
Hey now. Step outside and seize the day